I'm Eric Flack. Just a few more days, folks, I promise. Tuesday, the votes are going to be counted. This ugly presidential race will be over. My name's Eric Flack. I'm from Wave 3 News. How you doing, man?
That was him in the black Kia days earlier doing a 180 in the crosswalk.
One of the things owners love about this Samsung Galaxy Note 7 is how big, light, and thin it is while still being able to do so much cool stuff.
So we tracked down one of the owners sitting on the stoop outside his home.
If there's all this work to be done, why are you sitting here smoking a cigarette?
Because it's my day off.
We pulled every one of these work zone activity log sheets Trooper Harris has to turn in to get OT, and found out you paid him to patrol the work zone 253 times since 2012.
Broadway. And Eric, you found that the problem just is not fixing itself.
Guys, the numbers we uncovered reveal red light accidents are on the rise in Louisville. So why then did we also find that police are writing fewer tickets for running these red lights than they have in years? One accident victim we spoke with wonders the same thing.
The car like
Sarah Buckner's life took a 180-degree turn right here on the outer loop.
He ran right through and T-boned us. We spun and ended up over there.
A red light runner slamming into her car.
All I could think about was, oh my God, my kids are in the backseat.
4-year-old Sean narrowly avoided injury, but 8-year-old Mason was nearly blinded by all the shattered glass.
Oh, they pulled that glass out of your son's face.
In surgery, yes.
Mason now has permanent scarring around his eye. Sarah's scars are all on the inside.
Oh yeah, it was hard. It was scary.
Scary, but sadly not uncommon. Running a red light in Louisville carries a $165 fine and 3 points on your license, but that doesn't stop some Louisville drivers, as we found day after day while our cameras rolled. We saw people running red lights morning, noon, and night. 1, 2, and 3 at a time on major roads and side streets, risking life and limb right next to the hospital. Watch as this driver enters the intersection so long after the light turned red, they nearly cause a collision with the vehicle that actually has the green.
And here at the intersection of Liberty and Floyd, we saw drivers run this light 8 out of 11 times it turned red, including 4 in a row.
In fact, we couldn't even get through our interview with Sarah
Everybody started turning to the left.
without someone running a red light. So we dug into the numbers. And according to the Kentucky Administrative Office of the Courts, police agencies in Louisville have written fewer red light citations in the past 3 months than they have in the past 5 years. This, as records kept by Kentucky State Police show, accidents caused by people running red lights and stop signs in the city is actually on the rise, from 995 in 2013 to 1,134 last year. That's an average of more than 3 a day. We took those numbers straight to the head of LMPD's traffic division. Lieutenant Joe Seeley told us he doesn't believe there's a link between the decline in red light tickets and the rise in red light accidents. Seeley said with more people on the road these days, accidents are just up in general.
Whether it's running the red lights or people speeding or on their cell phones. At the end of the day, we have accidents, people are getting hurt.
So why then are tickets down, even though Seeley says red light details themselves are actually up? The lieutenant couldn't explain that, but he did say his officers take the issue seriously. Sarah Buckner certainly hopes so.
I don't think it's that they don't care. I just think that they have bigger things and they don't think this is on the top of the list. But this can change people's lives.
So what are other communities doing about this issue? Well, some cities are installing those red light cameras. They do not come without controversy, however. There are no red light cameras in Kentucky. Lexington debated doing that a couple years ago, but that measure ultimately failed. And keep in mind, some of those red light cameras that were installed in other parts of the country are now being ripped out because of all that controversy. Reporting live from the corner of Baxter and Broadway, Eric Flack, Wave 3 News.
Troubleshooter Eric Flack uncovered the stunning list of ER visits, and where is all the wasted money?
Hey, Shannon, you know, the list will floor you. Many of us are faced with huge copays from our private insurance companies when we use the emergency room. But people on Medicaid don't have that problem, and it's costing you.
8-month-old McKinley Duncan has a lot to smile about.
Birthday party.
Mom Ashley makes sure of that.
So we know all the words.
But the state of Kentucky has a problem even she can't explain.
No, definitely not.
And if you're a taxpayer, it might leave you feeling like this. Records obtained by Wave 3 News show Kentucky is wasting millions of dollars on unnecessary emergency room visits for Medicaid users, like more than $100,000 in ER visits in 2015 for diaper dermatitis. That's right, diaper rash. Ashley says you don't exactly need a medical degree to treat that.
They call it butt paste. It's kind of a funny name.
And available at about any drugstore. We also found out you're paying millions of dollars for people to be treated in the emergency room for constipation, headaches, earaches, and that's just the start. We tallied almost $300,000 in ER visits for various forms of rhinitis or runny nose, even when it's caused by the family pet. Medicaid users come to the ER for cramps, insect bites, sunburn, acne. They come because they can't quit smoking. They get emergency treatment for a headache after sex. And remember, you are paying for virtually all of it. Stephen Miller is the Kentucky Medicaid Commissioner. Vicki Yates Brown Glisson is the Secretary for the Cabinet for Health and Family Services.
So are you concerned taxpayer dollars are being wasted?
When I see numbers that you were quoting, what it just says to me is they're in the wrong treatment spot.
ER is not where you deliver primary care.
That's right.
So how big is this problem? We discovered Kentucky Medicaid users went to the ER for non-emergencies almost 200,000 times in 2015, costing taxpayers more than $9.3 million. One person visited the ER a staggering 382 times, more than once a day. His ER bills alone costing taxpayers a whopping $71,000 that year, since Medicaid users only have an $8 copay if they show up at the ER for a non-emergency.
What's to dissuade me from using that as my primary care?
I don't mean to turn it around, but you can see nothingness. That's what they're doing.
Hospitals tell me drug use and doctor shopping also drives up the number of times Medicaid users visit the ER for non-emergency reasons, with some showing up in as many as 22 different emergency rooms in a single year.
And Eric, your investigation has already outraged some people on Facebook hearing about this.
Scott, we're talking about hundreds of comments, thousands of shares of our story tonight, all of them agreeing that this is not what Muhammad Ali stood for, nor what he would have wanted. People charging hundreds of dollars apiece for free tickets to his funeral, while thousands of real fans are shut out.
So many people want to say goodbye to the champ, even the KFC Yum Center can't hold them all.
Man, drove here all the way from Indianapolis. Got a few feet from the building, they said they were out of tickets.
Maybe because many of those free seats to Muhammad Ali's memorial service ended up in the hands of guys like this.
Now, how much did you say they were again?
Hours before, we found his ad on Craigslist advertising those free Muhammad Ali memorial service tickets for $300 a piece. If that sounds like a lot, just listen to what he told our undercover producer when she called to set up a meeting.
I had 24 tickets and I'm only down to 10 tickets now.
When we met him with our undercover camera, we asked him to drop his price. He said if we didn't pay, someone else would.
Well, is there any way we could go down? I mean, that's
going like that, you know.
That was the same story all over Wave Country. We found a number of ads asking $200, $300 or more for those free funeral tickets, some with fistfuls to sell, even though the max at the giveaway was just 4 tickets per person. We even found someone selling tickets to the Islamic prayer service the day before, which is also free, and that's not even sold out yet. So how do you explain selling tickets to a funeral?
Are you trying to scalp tickets to Muhammad Ali's funeral?
Not at all.
Well, it turns out,
Isn't that the exact opposite of the spirit of Muhammad Ali, sir?
you don't.
How can you try to profit off of this man's death? Tonight, an Ali family spokesman called scalping Ali funeral tickets despicable and said anyone selling or buying tickets online will be reported to law enforcement. Scott. As we start the school year, most JCPS schools look like this: shiny, clean, in some ways just like new. But dig deeper and you will find this: rotting pipes, failing systems, and a school district facing an incredibly expensive fix.
Indian Trail Elementary is one of a number of JCPS schools that have fallen into disrepair, according to the district's own comprehensive infrastructure assessment. It's a school with stained walls and a failing HVAC system. Here, even Old Glory looks old. 56% of JCPS schools are more than 50 years old. 44% of elementary schools are rated in poor condition, with end-of-life systems that need frequent critical repairs. 12 elementary schools are listed as more cost-effective to replace than to renovate, meaning if this were a class in long-term planning, JCPS would get an F. Mike Mulhern was JCPS facilities director for 16 years before retiring this summer.
Are there pipes like this one in JCPS schools right now?
Every day.
JCPS Chief Operating Officer Mike Razor says it will take $1.2 billion to repair and replace everything the district needs. He's exploring cost-saving options like combining schools, using naming rights to fund high school sports facilities, and even sharing space, like the new Norton Commons Elementary is doing with the YMCA. But Razor says the district will never be able to afford a long-term fix without the one word no one wants to hear.
Is there any way to do what needs to be done without a tax?
No.
So what would that tax look like? How much would it be? And could it pass? That part of the story Wednesday at 5 after the Olympics. Eric Flack, Wave 3 News.